Patayin natin yung ano. Ito. Black leather. Black leather!
Ano ba yung black leather? Pinakatingin sa'yo
Ha?
Hindi ako makagalaw. Tingin ka sa taas.
Oh shit!
Nakatingin na ka sa kanya.
What the fuck? Mazebound Hunt Gather Run drops you on a small island with a massive maze sitting right in front of your base. The maze layout is randomized each game, and your objective is to gather enough materials from the maze to eventually build a raft in your base and escape. Hanging above the entrance is this huge hand in the sky with giant chains attached to several massive gates leading into the maze. Only one gate stays open at a time, so when one closes, another one opens. Early on, this creates a lot of tension because you still don't understand the layout yet, and it's easy to lose track of where your exit actually is. The first thing that stood out to me is that Mazebound does not use a traditional survival game inventory system. You can only carry 3 weapons or tools directly on your character. Everything else goes into your cart. Food, crafting materials, spare equipment, resources, literally almost your entire existence in this game lives inside this wooden cart. And this cart becomes the entire focus of the game. You push and pull it through the maze while enemies wander around nearby. And early on, you can sort of get away with leaving it near the entrance while you explore. Eventually though, the deeper biomes start demanding better equipment and more resources. So the cart has to come with you. This is where the game gets more challenging. Because the storage area of the cart is open, items can fall out while moving through rough terrain. If enemies attack it directly, the entire thing can flip over and dump your supplies on the ground. Recovering from this takes longer than you'd expect because you can't just vacuum items back into the cart instantly. You physically have to gather everything again and put them back in the cart manually. The maze layout also creates a lot of accidental comedy during co-op. My friend would keep calling for help while describing locations that meant absolutely nothing to me because every corridor looked the same. You also need to be careful about splitting up, especially at night, because getting lost inside the maze becomes very easy once visibility drops. The maze layout is procedurally generated at the start of each new game, although I don't think randomization fundamentally changes how the game plays after the first few hours. The layouts mostly affect navigation pressure and pacing. Some seeds may make progression smoother, while others create longer and more dangerous supply runs between waystones and biome entrances. Survival mechanics are fairly straightforward. You mainly manage hunger and willpower. If your hunger gets too low, your willpower starts dropping, and low willpower reduces your damage, stamina, and carry capacity. Equipment and clothing also have weight attached to them, so carrying too much can slow your movement speed down significantly. Thankfully, food is common enough that maintaining these stats never became overly punishing. Nighttime is where things become significantly harder. Visibility drops extremely low, additional enemies start appearing, and exploring without a light source becomes difficult. You do start with a torch, but it needs to be equipped, so you can't fight properly while using a light source. There is a helmet with a light source you can equip later on, but that's not accessible within the first few hours. The cart itself also evolves throughout the game. Once stationary, it becomes your crafting station, and later upgrades lets you attach things like a sleeping bag, campfire, or a mounted lamp. By the middle of the game, the cart basically turns into a moving survival base. One mechanic I actually liked was the waystones. Activating one links it to your home base and it creates a portal connection that even lets you move your cart through it. Since you can only have one active at a time, deciding where to place your current checkpoint becomes important during longer expeditions. There's also a one-eyed creature named Jeff that specifically targets your cart. If he reaches it, he steals one of your wheels and leaves you stranded. Once that happens, you either need to chase him down and try to get the wheel back or craft a replacement wheel yourself before you can move the cart again. The funny part is that the game will punish you if you try to kill him because he will multiply afterwards. We learned this the hard way and eventually had multiple Jeffs running around stealing our wheels. Enemy design overall is decent. The larger monsters especially look intimidating the first time you encounter them. Last one. Last one. Shit! What's up? Pasok dito, pasok! Pasok dito!
Shit, the fuck is that? What is that?
and bosses move aggressively enough that fights can become chaotic fast, especially inside tighter maze sections. I do think the game benefits heavily from co-op though. A lot of the tension, confusion, and funny moments come from managing the cart together while trying to navigate the maze. I can see the solo experience being considerably more stressful since every logistical problem falls entirely on you. This is not a very long game. My friend and I finished it in about 9 hours, though that will probably depend on how lost you get in the maze or how often your cart gets flipped or stolen from halfway through a run. I do wish the maze mechanics had evolved a bit more later in the game. The shifting gate system near the entrance creates a strong first impression, and I kept hoping the deeper sections of the maze would introduce more changing layouts or additional navigation complications as the game progressed. Still, I think MAZEBOUND is a good and genuinely fun co-op survival game, especially considering it was made by a two-person team. The cart mechanic gives the game its own identity and creates a lot of memorable situations naturally during gameplay. If this ever gets a sequel, I'd definitely be interested in reviewing it again. If you'd like to check the game out, the link is in the description. If you played MAZEBOUND, let us know what you think. And if you liked the video, consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and sticking around for more. I'll see you in the next one.